Welcome to the Red Devil Experience, the ultimate home for every die-hard Manchester United fan. Today, we start with the moment to honor the legendary Sir Bobby Charlton, a true Red Devil whose legacy lives on in every pass, every goal, and every heart at Old Trafford. Rest in peace, Sir Bobby, on his 88th birthday today. Yes, absolute legend of the football club. And we sadly miss him, and we thank him for everything that he's given to this football club as well. So rest in peace to Bobby, and happy birthday to you as well, good sir. This is where the passion lives, where we bleed red, and where we break down every goal, every tackle, every drama, every triumph with the fire this club deserves. I'm Eric, your host, and this is your platform to dive into the heart of United, from match reactions to transfer talk, tactics, and everything in between. If you're all about the Red Devils, hit that subscribe button right now and join our growing army of fans who live and breathe United. Drop a comment, get involved. Let's make some noise together, because this isn't just a channel, it's a community, it's a movement. So stick around, smash that like button, and let's get started with today's show, which we're going to be talking about the potential sale of Manchester United. Some more updates going on since the last time we spoke. Also, Bruno Fernandes coming out, denying any move or interest to go to Saudi. Says he's happy at Manchester United, plans on sticking around as well. And we got a couple loose sort of transfer pieces looking for January and that sort of stuff. So it's going to be a good show. Let's kick off with the transfer things. Lumen is here. Big up Lumen. Lyle is here as well. Lucky, shout out to you guys. How you all doing? Hope everybody is doing well. Let me pull up what I need for the transfer stuff. Yeah. For the sale transfer stuff. I need the where do I got it? We got it. Where did it go? Oh, I got it here. Okay. I got it. So it is basically everything that we got going on. The Athletic coming out with sort of a full report, or an article about the potential sale of Manchester United. I'm going to read the article, so bear with me. It's a little bit. It's not too long. Usually they make a lot bigger ones. So they wrote it up pretty good. Gave us, a good idea of what's going on. So the article, headline of the article: Manchester United ownership latest, Turki Al-Sheikh's tweet, drag-along rights, and who could be interested. So Manchester United power brokers have gathered in Switzerland this week for one of the regular executive committee meetings. The executive committee meetings, typically held each month, are led by co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe and usually feature at least one of Joel or Avram Glazer's Ineos leadership and United chief executive Omar Barada. The atmosphere has been lifted by the Premier League victory over Sunderland last Saturday, which eased pressure on head coach Ruben Amorim, although the Old Trafford hierarchy remained conscious of febrile mood among supporters. Febrile, sorry. At United, however, things are rarely quite quiet for long. On Wednesday, Ratcliffe made his first extensive public comments about Amorim's position since March, saying he had 3 years to prove he was a great coach. We talked about those. Then later that night, Turki Al-Sheikh, a Saudi Arabian government official and sports promoter, posted on social media platform X that United were close to being sold. Al-Sheikh's message sparked a flurry of speculation in the following 48 hours over possible suitors, although the club have remained silent on the subject. So we're going to get into the nitty-gritty details. What is United's current ownership structure? United's shares are split into two classes, A and B, which I'm sure many of us are very familiar with. There are currently 56.1 million Class A shares, and there are 116.3 million Class B shares in issue. But only Class A shares are listed on the New York Stock Exchange and are available for public trading. Quick point. Those are the ones that don't have any power. Those are the ones that we can buy, or anybody can buy. And Class B shares are obviously the ones that Sir Jim and the Glazers own, yeah? So they go on to say Class A shares confer just 10% of the voting rights of the Class B ones, the latter, which are principally held by members of the Glazer family across the stakes of Joel has 14%, Darcy owns 14%, Brian owns 13%, Avram has 10% of shares, Kevin has 9% of shares, and Edward owns 8% of shares. The American siblings retain a 71.04% of Class B shares and 3.0% of Class A's. That grants them a 67.91% of the club's voting rights, even though they own a little under half of the total shares in issue. Ineos, majority owned by Ratcliffe, owns a shade under 29% of each class of shares, and by extension, the voting rights. As part of the deal completed in February 2024, Ratcliffe agreed to inject $300 million, which is 238 million pounds, into the club by the end of that year. In exchange, he gained control of United's sporting operations, but his influence has been apparent across their business side too. The vast cost-cutting and redundancy programs, which we've all talked about in the past 18 months, was carried out at his behest. Further, Ratcliffe has wielded obvious interest at the top of the table. He doesn't sit on United's board, but several of his lieutenants do. Roger Bell, appointed as United Chief Financial Officer in May last year, was formerly in the same role at Ineos. John Rees, a United director, co-owns Ineos with Ratcliffe. And Rob Nevin, another United director, is chairman of Ineos Sport. Barada, formerly of the Manchester City-led football group. Let me get to the actual details because they're going. So, obviously, we talked about the ownership. Talk flared up again because Al-Sheikh. They go on to say in The Athletic, there is no shortage of big claims made on social media about United, as we all know. But what made this post cut through is the fact that Al-Sheikh is a prominent official in Saudi Arabia who serves as an advisor to the royal court and is chairman of the General Entertainment Authority. Via his role, the General Entertainment Authority, Al-Sheikh is heavily involved in the country's sports sector, primarily through Riyadh Season, a series of cultural, entertainment, and sports events held in Saudi capital Riyadh between October and March each year, and has overseen the funding of major sporting events in his homeland. Given his prominence, the post quickly went viral. It had been viewed just under 6 million people at the time of this writing. On Thursday, he came back again, clarifying that he was not the investor he referred to in his original message, nor were they from Saudi Arabia, and said, my post about Manchester United's potential sale meant one thing: the club is in advanced negotiation phase with a new investor. I'm posting this as a fan who wishes the deal to happen, though it might not necessarily happen. Now, we talked a little bit last time about the drag along rights, yeah? So, just so we're 100% accurate, because I like to be as accurate as possible, this is what they had to say about this, and it's better in their words than me kind of spitballing, yeah? When the Glazers sold the minority stake to Ratcliffe, the filing made to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, which is the SEC, detailed the drag-along rights mechanism that would be activated 18 months after the British billionaire's initial investment, and meant the Glazers could compel him to join in a full sale of United. This clause essentially exists to prevent minority shareholders, Ratcliffe in this case, blocking a sale if someone else wants to come in and buy 100% of these shares. If the Glazers were to seek a full sale before February 2027, then the share price has to be above the $33 Sir Jim Ratcliffe paid so that he can make all of his money back. Beyond that date, Ratcliffe could be dragged along for whatever price the Glazers are willing to accept, even if it falls below the share price he paid, meaning he could potentially lose millions of pounds. Now, I did not know that that was a thing. But this is why we like The Athletic. They do their homework. This article was written along with the New York Times. So when it comes to financial stuff, they are right on the money with it. And I'm going to be quite honest, that is a little bit kind of crazy if you're Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And us knowing the Glazers and not trusting the Glazers, yeah? I mean, that's kind of an insane clause. That's kind of an insane clause. I did not know that that's what that was. I just thought it was on the basic level of basically, you know, when they go for a full sale, he'll get. And I always just figured, it's obviously going to be for more than what he bought it for, so he'll make money out of it. But he's not even guaranteed that. So let me just read that again. If the Glazers were to seek a full sale before February 2027, then the share price has to be above $33 that Ratcliffe paid, so that he can make all his money back. Beyond that date, Ratcliffe could be dragged along for whatever price the Glazers are willing to accept, even if it falls below the share price he paid, meaning he could potentially lose. That's actually kind of insane. I mean, Lyle says, it's crazy, and he says sleazeballs. They probably had to sign that just to get the deal done. Yeah, but again, listen, I'm not defending the Glazers here, but this is business. And he is a businessman. He is a multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever he is, yeah? And at the end of the day, he agreed to it. So, I don't like the Glazers. I hate them. But these guys, when it comes to like business and business moves and, making sure that they themselves are secured airtight, I mean, they're very, very good at it. They're very, very good at it. They're always covering their own ass, and they're always screwing over everybody else in the name of money. But I'm going to be quite honest. I don't really feel, if that happens, yeah, I still be like, yeah, the Glazers are scummy, but I won't feel really any sympathy to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, because you did a deal with the Glazers. And many people told you, don't do the deal with the Glazers, yeah? And this is what happens. And you know what? Sir Jim's been doubling down as well. I mean, he said it the first time before he took over the club. He said it again just this week, that the Glazers are good people and they get a bad rep. And maybe he truly believes him as that. I mean, we're not business people. We're regular human beings. We're common men, yeah? We're everyday people. And to us, that is kind of scummy. That is kind of sleazeballish, yeah? But maybe if you're, in that sort of business world, maybe Sir Jim looks at it like, it's just business. And maybe he doesn't have the same feelings as us. But that is kind of just crazy, because I didn't know that was an actual thing. I didn't know that after a certain date, if they want to sell, if the Glazers end up selling the club for, let's just say $29 a share, so Jim Ratcliffe basically loses all his money. I mean, he's not even gonna get his money back. He's gonna be down money, yeah. He doesn't lose all his money. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but he's gonna lose a significant amount of money. Whereas I thought he would, at the very least, make money back. Make his money back. I thought he would be walking away with a guaranteed pretty much profit, because you would assume he put in the money, he put in the investment, and I just always assume whatever Sir Jim paid, the Glazers, if they do sell, and when they do sell, they would be getting, the share price would probably be over what Sir Jim Ratcliffe played. But Sir Jim probably did. We have to remember, Sir Jim actually did pay a pretty high premium for the shares that he received. So he actually paid pretty high for what he paid for. So, yeah, that's kind of quite crazy. Let me continue with the article though, because this is actually, there's some interesting stuff in here. So they go on to say that, is it in the Glazers' interest to sell? Which is obviously the question that everybody's asking. We had a discussion about it last time. We're not the Glazers, and we're not friends with the Glazers, so we don't know what they actually think or what's in their head, or what they're discussing. But let's see what they say. Lucky says, Jim, get partnership together to buy more of the club. I don't think that's necessarily going to work. You would have to, Lucky, for them to do that, they would have to outbid whoever is going to actually come in and make a bid. And at that moment in time, I mean, you got to have the money for it. So it depends on the partnership. But is it in the interest? Is it in the Glazers' interest to sell? The article writes. Well, let's see. So they continued the article by saying whether they have an appetite to sell or not is the several billion-dollar question. But the terms of the agreement with Ratcliffe arguably make it in the family's interest to do so before February 2027. This is where it gets interesting. Until then, as detailed above, Ratcliffe will be guaranteed to earn at least $33 per share for his stake if dragged. The Glazers would expect at least the same for their shares, thereby raising the floor of any deal. Ratcliffe loses that $33 per share guarantee after the third anniversary of his minority investment. However, which would give any prospective buyer scope to offer less money for the whole club. From a buyer's perspective, why would you want to pay a premium now if you could do a cheaper deal in around 18 months? Of course, if the Glazers value United at more than $33 per share, then Ratcliffe's clause makes little difference, and they might only consider a deal north of that figure anyway. But given the publicly traded share price at around $16 a share at the time of this writing, less than half of what Ratcliffe paid, there are no guarantees any buyer would go that high again, unless a clause like the one currently in place forced them to. Scrutiny is expected over United's commercial future in the coming months because although the club recently posted record annual revenues, there has been a dramatic shift across the department. The Snapdragon and Adidas deals, highlighted as great partnerships by Ratcliffe, were driven by executives no longer employed by the club in Victoria Thompson and James Holroyd, respectively, which could be a problem for us, by the way. United must also soon refinance the long-term debt foisted on them by the Glazers' leveraged buyout 20 years ago, with interest rates set to rise, potentially adding several millions of pounds to the club's bill each year. So we are... See, this is the thing that's going on, yeah? Steph is here as well. Says big up Eric and Experience. Shout out to you. DJ Darkest Night has joined us as well. Shout out to all of you. And Steph has let us know there's 9 likes, 17 liking. Shout out to all the people that are watching. We greatly appreciate it. Please make sure you smash that like button. But here's the thing. As football fans, I mean, we don't really... I'm not a finance guy. Yeah, I don't do that for a living. I don't think many of us do that. I'm sure there are some financial people or financially smart people or they do it for a living that are Manchester United fans, but I don't think it's a lot. I don't think it's the majority, yeah? We don't know things like this, and this is where it starts getting to the nitty-gritty, and that's why this sort of thing is so... It's actually so complicated, especially when you don't know the full details, when you don't have access to everything, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I mean... There's so many different factors going on. You know, we're going to have to refinance the debt. It's going to add more money to we're going to have to pay. We're bringing in record revenue, but we're still reporting losses at the football club. And I said, Sir Jim paid $33 per share. I mean, right now, the share price for Manchester United is at $16. He paid basically double what it currently is. So he certainly paid a premium, yeah? And we're going to get to how much it could cost and who would possibly be coming into this. But we have a slight problem in the fact that in business, yeah, I mean, the people that did the deals for Snapdragon and Adidas, they're no longer with the club, which could be a problem because if they have a good relationship with the people at Snapdragon and Adidas, or Adidas, as the Europeans like to pronounce it, yeah, we might lose those deals. We might not be able to, re-agree to such a great deal, because business is it's partly about connections. Yeah, it's partly about rapport, and if you go to do business with somebody that you don't like or whatever, or that you don't really know, you might not be able to get the best deal than if you have a good relationship with somebody that two people know each other well. So, let me get to the chat real quick before we continue with the article. DJ Darkest Net says, "Hello, big man. It's been a while. How you doing, buddy? Put it this way. Watch if Man U shares go up and down in the next few hours. Well, the stock market's closed right now, yeah. But there's, I guess, after hours. But right now it's closed because it's Saturday. United will carry on. Loss, win, win, loss, says Lucky. Plus, we are rejecting football tours away from Britain. Well, we're going to get into that as well. The stock market doesn't like insider speculation. They will ask the Glazers. And the Glazers will sell if the price is above $5 billion. I think the Glazers will sell. If somebody comes and gives the Glazers about $6 billion, if they offer them $6 billion, I think the Glazers, I think there's a very high chance that they take it. But they are greedy bastards, so I wouldn't be that surprised if they would reject it and ask for more. But I think if you do the normal negotiations process, kind of like what happened last time, and you get to a point where after a couple rounds of negotiations, Glazers kind of set their final price and they say $6 billion or whatever it is, and somebody actually puts it on the table, I think they would probably take it. I feel like they would. But we have to see if that happens, yeah. So let me get back into the article, because this is a good article. It's almost done, so then we could have a normal discussion. But you know, they have some good details. So the next paragraph is about how much would United actually cost, how long could a sale take to complete. And they go on to say, we don't know exactly how much the club would cost, because obviously it's up to the Glazers. But we do know the minimum it would cost to buy United before February 2027, when those drag-along rights expire. Ratcliffe bought in at a valuation of $33 per share, which is 26 pounds per share at the transaction date. It's obviously changed now, per share. And any sale before those rights run out would have to meet that valuation at a minimum. So even that would value United at $5.7 billion, which is 4.3 billion pounds today, and would make them the most expensive football club ever sold. Chelsea currently hold that record, albeit their sale price is debatable. That deal, completed in May 2022, saw Chelsea's shares sold for 2.5 billion pounds, alongside a commitment to invest a further 1.75 billion pounds in the club, for a total valuation of 4.2 billion pounds. The Rain Group, which advised on the sale of shares to Ratcliffe, pitched a price of $35.25 per share to Qatari bidders during that process. If the current shareholders were to seek the same sum, it would generate a valuation of $6.1 billion US dollars, or 4.6 billion pounds. Around what basketball's then reigning NBA champions Boston Celtics sold for in April last year. Even if a sale were to happen after the $33 per share minimum price expires, it would likely be for far in excess of United's current valuation. As of Friday afternoon, the share prices values United at just $2.8 billion, or 2.1 billion British pounds. Any sale would, in all likelihood, be a drawn-out process, as we've been familiar with. It would take probably up to maybe anywhere from 6 months to a year, I would assume. Now, they go on to say United's standing as a listed entity, never mind one of the most high-profile sporting teams on the planet, that absolutely is true, means there be no shortage of interest, genuine or otherwise, and Murad boxes to tick and hoops to jump through. Representatives of both United and Rain Group first met to discuss potential strategic opportunities in June 2022. The sale of shares to Ratcliffe's Trawlers Limited, since transferred to Ineos, did not complete until 20 months later. It almost took 2 years, yeah? A multi-billion pound purchase of a sports team takes a lot of time, money, and lawyers. Who knew? I like that bit. So the last bit to this, and then I'll get to the chat, and we'll just have a nice big chat together, yeah? It's a short bit. Where is takeover interest likely coming from? That's another thing that we need answered. The place most people start looking for possible the place most people start looking for possible buyers is the Middle East. Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani, what a name, son of former Qatari prime minister, tried to buy 100% of the shares, as we all know, at the time as Ratcliffe, but SEC filings show he continually failed to provide proof of funds, which is interesting. It is unlikely that the interest from Qatar has gone away, especially as the Gulf state has the financial muscle to blow other bidders from beyond that region out of the water if it wanted to. Now, I just want to say real quick, there might be a possibility that they failed to provide proof of funds because they have to deal with the American Stock Exchange, and who knows where that money is coming from or where it is, and maybe they didn't necessarily want to show that money. That's a whole different discussion for a whole different day. Yeah, but I'm just saying. I mean, we know Qatar, the country, has hundreds and hundreds of billions. Yeah, so they have the money because people are trying to say Sheikh Jassim doesn't have the money. I mean, the country has the money. Yeah, they got it. But anyway, besides that, it is unlikely the interest from Qatar has gone away, especially as the Gulf state has the financial muscle to blow other bidders from beyond that region out of the water if it wanted to, despite Al-Sheikh's claim that he wasn't referring to Saudi Arabia in his post on X. We know there is an existing relationship between that country and United, with the two parties currently in talks about the club heading there to play a friendly match during Riyadh season. There have also been unverified reports of interest from a United Arab Emirates-based consortium. Other potential buyers, especially those outside the Middle East, could come in the form of private equity. Elon Musk, the world's richest individual and owner of X, has previously joked that he would buy Manchester United. And that is the end of the article from The Athletic. So it's covered a lot of stuff. There's been some other stuff that has come out, I think, since they've written that, yeah. So I'll just throw in some stuff, but let me get to the chat because the chat is chatting away, and we need to get to our viewers and we need to get to their opinions. Lyle says, I think 6 billion gets the sale done too, but the club is growing value-wise, and I will not be surprised if Glazers are pushing for 10 billion. Well, I don't think they can necessarily. I think I don't think they'll ever get 10 billion unless they stick around and they push it up to 10 billion. The thing that the 10 billion valuation, Lyle, is basically it's their argument for when they negotiate. Because right now, the current stock price, United are about $2.6 billion worth, yeah? And the Glazers pretty much want $6 billion. And their argument for that is the club will be worth 10 billion in about 10 years' time or something with the way it's going. So they do this sort of, future price valuation type of thing because on paper, it's worth 2.6. Add in some other stuff, you could probably realistically you'd sell it for 4 billion, and you'd sell it for a profit. Even though obviously they loaded it with debt, and realistically they should be getting it for way less. But the commercialism is keeping it alive. But yeah, the 10 billion thing is, I think it's more of a bargaining chip. I think it's more of a. It's kind of like when we do transfers, yeah? It's kind of like player transfers, right? You go to buy Wharton or you go to buy Baleba, and they tell you, oh, but it's in the Premier League, and, we're selling it to another Premier League team, and he's only 21 years of age, and look at the talent he already has, and, in the next 5 years, Baleba's going to be worth 250 million. It's the same thing. The Glazers are doing the same thing, but they're doing it for a club instead of a player, yeah? So it's the same shit. If the price is right, the Glazers will sell. They love money. They do, but these business people are a bit strange, yeah, because they love money, and yeah, you can give them a lump sum of cash, but they do think kind of differently to us, yeah. If somebody was to hand you, 500 grand cash, or I don't know, some type of property, Now, some people might take the property, yeah, but some people might take the cash because they want the cash. They want the cash in hand. They want to use it. They want to spend it. Um, but some people, and typically these sorts of business people, they would take the property because they would like. There's a lot of benefits to having a valuation of a property. You don't have the cash in your hand, but there's a lot of different kind of things you could get away with in terms of not paying taxes and stuff like that. And the Glazers are these people. I mean, they've loaded the debt on. They don't have to pay anything. This thing is a cash cow for them. I'm sure they get tons of business write-offs and tons of tax write-offs for owning Manchester United. So, it depends. I guess it really is it worth it for them to pull out, because when they pull out, they will get paid. Yeah, but they will get paid. But that money, they're going to have to put it somewhere, because otherwise, now I'm not too familiar how exactly this goes, because it is an English club, yeah? It is in the UK, but we are on the stock. So I would assume they would have to probably pay some sort of taxes, which no business person or any person wants to do. So I don't know how that necessarily works. I don't know how that necessarily works. Yeah, shout out Steph. DJ Darkest Night says, you are an American, right? What do you hear over there with the Glazers? Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing, DJ. Absolutely nothing. The Glazers are not talked about. The Glazers don't make public appearances. Every once in a while, maybe they get talked about, you know, when there's NFL, when there's American football, because they are the owners of the Buccaneers. But I mean, they don't really talk about them. I don't even think they really watch much of the games, because I watch a lot of NFL, yeah, and there's a lot of different owners, and they constantly show them on the TV. You know, they're at the games. I don't really see the Glazers being shown at Tampa Bay Buccaneers matches, but I will tell you this. I remember a few years ago when the height of the Glazers out movement, pretty much, and it moved a lot online, and it was on the ground as well, like in real life. And there was a campaign that the online people, and I was involved in this, and we were trying to put as much pressure on the Glazers as possible. So we were going to anything that was associated with the Glazers, all of their you know, their siblings, they own several different businesses, in terms of, like, I don't know if it's makeup or beauty or something like that, and some other stuff, yeah? We were hitting them with, you know, emails, trying to do bad ratings, giving them 1 stars, writing bad reviews. And one of the things that the United fans were doing was flocking to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers social media accounts and writing Glazers out all over the place, and basically taking over the entire social media accounts of the NFL team. And what came out of that was Americans that don't watch football, they watch American football, they don't watch European football, were confused as to why people were saying Glazers out. And then they went as far as to start attacking United fans and telling us to fuck off, because they actually like the Glazers. American football fans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers actually like the Glazers. They actually backed the Glazers and were telling us to fuck off, and were attacking us online in mass numbers. And saying all sorts of insults because we like football, yeah. So yeah, there's nothing about the Glazers. You don't hear anything about the Glazers. The Glazers don't exist. They don't talk to the media. They don't like the media. Somebody might say maybe they have some control over the media. I think they do. But yeah. Pale Ale. Yeah, what? All right, I don't know. Yeah, sales tactics. Grace is here. Shout out Grace. I know that's not a United shirt you're wearing. It is not. It is not. It is La España. And it is a custom one. It is a custom La España. 2008 euro. We custom made this, me and my friend. This is a logo for this is a logo for a record label called 240 KMH, which is made by one of our DJs named Adrian Mills. Shout out Adrian Mills. If you know Adrian Mills, shout out Adrian Mills. He's a good guy. And on the back, if you want me to, I'll show you the back. I just messed up the whole screen, but I don't know how to do this. If you can see, the back it says 240, and it says Probando. Probando. If you know what Probando means. If you don't know what Probando means, then you know, Google Translate. There's never a dull day when it's a dull day with United, eh? Nope. I mean, we're not allowed one. Never a dull day. Not allowed to rest, not allowed to sleep. Never heard that, man, but big up. Lyle says, like you said before, Eric, as long as your NFL team has won a Super Bowl or at least up there, then the fans are good. Yeah, but you know what it is? The NFL is quite different as well, yeah? The NFL is quite different to football. It's just, I mean, the way it's owned, the owners, the processes, the sort of the culture of the fans. You know, European football, you know, especially in the UK, it's sort of ingrained a lot more in. If you go back into the history, it's from the working man, it's from the common person. It has a lot more. I don't know. It has a lot more just like feeling to it, yeah. Whereas here, it's like. It's a little bit more considered for fun. I mean, there's diehard fans, don't get me wrong, but it's a little bit more for like entertainment purposes, where I feel like football in the UK is like ingrained a lot more in the history of the culture. And it's a lot more sort of serious to a certain extent. So, you know, here, I mean, I've never seen fans protest an NFL team. You know, I mean, they might be upset with an owner, but there's no protest. There's no movement to try and get them removed. There's no boycotts of the team. I mean, if it has happened in American sports, it's been like very, very, very rare. Maybe once or twice out of all the years the sports has running. It's a little bit different. So yeah, I mean, they're not as. Listen, I mean, Tampa Bay, but you have to remember as well. I mean, to be fair, when the Glazers bought Tampa Bay Buccaneers were nothing. I mean, they had a shit stadium and they were probably one of the worst NFL teams. And when they bought them, the Glazers did what Glazers do, and they got the state to fund a brand new stadium for them. I mean, the Glazers didn't pay for it. They got the state to fund a whole brand new stadium for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then eventually they got them to win Super Bowls as well. So they, you know, they have no reason to hate the Glazers. Thanks for answering that, man. There's a lot of UK fans. Yeah, Spain. Traces Spain. What the fuck did I? Why? I can't wear a Spain. I can't wear a Spain kit. I'm wearing this. He's from Spain. Yeah, the DJ is from Spain. So. Football is life. It's tribal. Yep. Prawn cocktail Pringles is life. Those are actually really good as well. Your fingernail could end up in a Manchester and all right, let me get to a little bit more of the news, yeah? So just to round up the whole potential sale of the club thing, yeah? Because that was a good article from The Athletic, but I have pretty much everything that's come out. I have it summarized. So I don't want to repeat too many things. So I'm just going to skim through this. There's been some reaction on social media, including unverified claims of a 92 Foundation relaunch. which is Sheikh Jassim's group, challenging UAE bidders, with the Glazers eyeing a pre-February 2027 close. However, sources confirm no Saudi bid is active. Al-Sheikh's post is seen as a fan-driven hype rather than insider info. That's from the Manchester Evening News, by the way. A UAE-based group, identity undisclosed, but not linked to Manchester City owners. I mean, it can't be linked to Manchester City owners anyway. Is considering a full takeover bid with preliminary talks underway. They've approached ex-United legends. Apparently, names like Gary Neville or Rio Ferdinand have been floated, though unconfirmed, for ambassadorial or board roles to boost credibility and fan appeal. Again, no formal contact with the Glazers. I mean, but per club insiders who are stunned and in the dark. But again, I don't think the Glazers have to tell anybody. So they can run that line. I'm gonna run the other line and say the opposite. They might really not know. I would assume them not to know. But I don't think, if it's me, I'm directly contacting the Glazers one way or another. I mean, surely I'd figure that out. And nobody needs to know about it. And knowing the Glazers and how they treat people, there's no reason for them to need to tell anybody besides them. Yeah, them and their family are the only ones that need to know. They're probably the only ones that are going to know until something happens, if something happens. Other interests include Finnish bidder Thomas Ziliakis. I don't know if you guys remember Thomas Ziliakis, yeah? Who bid in 2023, reiterated today he's open to partnering with Ratcliffe or others for a joint buyout, criticizing the Glazers for pitting bidders against each other last time. That's business, buddy. No Qatari revival from Sheikh Jassim despite 2023's £5 billion all-cash push. Just to put this out there, Thomas Ziliakis had a shit proposal the first time he came about, and this guy has come back with a second, more shitter proposal, yeah? His proposal is not a good one. I am a foreign fan, as they would call, yeah? I am a foreign fan. I am one that lives in America. His proposal would include me to somehow be able to vote on an online app that would dictate some sort of running of the football club. I think it's a ridiculous idea. I think it's a terrible idea. Also, this guy doesn't have the money and is already running to Sir Jim Ratcliffe to try and partner with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Also, I don't think Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants that. Why would Sir Jim Ratcliffe want to partner with this guy? I think if Sir Jim Ratcliffe would want to take the club 100% himself. I mean, the only deal he did was with the Glazers because they own the club and they hold all the power. But everybody else, if he really wanted to, he could have partnered with somebody the first time. They could have offered the Glazers $7 billion and split it, or whatever. He didn't do that. I don't think Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to partner with some other entrepreneur or whatever he is. So I don't think that that's a thing. I think Thomas Ziliakis needs to go, go buy Burry or some shit, QPR or something. I don't know, but yeah, man, you're like, you are so far out from being anywhere close to what a Manchester United owner should be. And as Lyle says, he is an ass. LOL. He said he made a 20 billion takeover offer. LOL. Then why is he not the owner? Yeah, he is an ass. Like, that dude is a complete ass. He seemed to me, and I remember him going on the United stand, and I watched that interview, yeah, and I was just like, this guy seems like one of those guys that he's kind of like a scammer, but he's he's involved in like he's got money and stuff, probably like some couple of millions or whatever, but he's like a scammer, bro. He's just this guy's scheming. He's not serious. He doesn't seem like a serious type of guy that I would do business with. He seems like a joke. Yeah, he does. He seems like a joke. And what he proposes is an absolute joke. So yeah, I mean, Yeah, it's just, you know. Tell him I'm not from Spain, Jaco, you prick. The NFL structure is also fair that any team can go on a run and win it with the drafts funding, state funding. Yeah, that's why it's a different sort of concept, and that's why it is like, you know, it's more accepted here, Lyle. Like you win a Super Bowl, yeah, and then it's generally accepted that, you know, to have a dynasty is quite rare, and if you get a dynasty, you live in the moment of the dynasty. That's, you know, 5 6 years probably. I mean, 10's kind of unheard of, but the Patriots did it. Kansas City has a chance to kind of do it, but um, right now, but I mean, yeah, it's generally accepted that, like, all right, you know, it takes a couple years to build. You get to a point. If it doesn't work out, you fail to win the Super Bowl. You do another rebuild, and it's just constant cycles of rebuilds. Whereas, like, for football, it's similar in that way, but it's also like there's a bigger push to try and be as good for as long as possible. You know, the point is not to, like, many teams in the NFL, they win a Super Bowl and then they rebuild after they win the Super Bowl, and they don't, like, sustain it. Yeah, and that's a normal thing. Like, fans normally accept that. I always find it quite weird because I'm a football fan. I grew up with United. And I was just find it weird why you would tear down a team that just won the Super Bowl. So it is a bit different in those ways. What's the share price? The answer is that the share price right now is it's about $16 per share, US dollars, on the market. Sir Jim paid $33 per share. So says, yeah, city is Abu Dhabi. Yes, the interested party is from any of the other states in the UAE. If United were owned 100% by the fans, how screwed would we be? Well, it depends how that's set up, Grace, because it depends exactly how that's set up, yeah, because there's many clubs out there. I mean, Bayern Munich are owned by the fans. They're fine. Spain is sort of owned by fans as well. I mean, Real Madrid. It depends, yeah, and how, like, what power and how the power is distributed. How do the fans get to vote or whatever? You know, what is the process? Because I think it goes down a whole thing of, it's a bunch of elections, yeah? Like, you have one guy basically representing a large amount of the fans, and then that guy is like a representative to somebody that runs as president for the club. So all of those people could get voted out if they do a bad job, yeah? So it does come out quite fair. I don't know how screwed we would be. If it was just open and it was just like every Manchester United fan has like equal amount of power across the world, we would be totally screwed, yeah? But if it was more structured like the other football clubs in other countries, I think it might not be so bad, but it could actually be quite good. But it'll never happen anyway because it's gone forever, yeah? I'm doing my living decks in Pokemon Sword. Are you really? I got to get back into that. I'm so far out of the Pokemon thing. Like, I've lost, like, I don't know. The guy is a dodo. I think that's a Pokemon as well. Darkest Night says, imagine him and Gary Neville. Oh boy, that's your daddy. Johnny Hill says, as long as I don't have to see JJ Gabriel forced to play an Amarim system, I am a happy man. Well, I don't know. I mean, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, yeah? I mean, Amarim could still be here. I don't know if they're actually going to put this bid in. This could take a year, 2 years. I don't know. Could happen. You know, we're still waiting on more things to actually develop out of this. And even if they come and put in the bid, I mean, as we've seen with the process with the Glazers and Sir Jim, it took about 20 months. It took almost 2 years to do. So in that amount of time, who knows what happens? Maybe Amarim figures it out. Maybe JJ Gabriel becomes best player in Ruben Amarim's system. Lucky says better than Glazer's trash ownership model. Yeah, but when you talk about what other offers you have on the table at that point, it's not the best one, isn't it? Darkest Night says, excuse my ignorance, but why does your rugby players wear crash helmets and shoulder pads? Because it's not rugby, it's American football, and they wear them for protection. Because our country is, let's put it this way, our country is the land of getting sued, yeah? Anybody can sue anybody at the day of any time. And there's a lot of money floating around. And so a lot of things happen in this country for liability reasons, yeah? To protect your company, your businesses, yourself, whatever. So yeah, they wear those things because they don't want people to get brain damage, which they are getting still, even with the helmets. And this is a country where if you file for a case and you don't look after the safety and practices of your employees, you can win hundreds of millions of dollars in a lawsuit, and people don't want to pay that money. So, yeah, that's my guess on that is probably why they do that. It really comes down to money, yeah. It really comes down to money. I would love to see an NFL team take on a rugby team. You know what? That would be quite interesting. Maybe we should make that, you know, I don't know, Dana White, somebody should make that happen, yeah? I wish I had the platform for that. I would kind of make that happen. I would stream it live on Netflix or something, one off. Donate the money to charity or something. I think that would be interesting. It's a good yeah, we should do NFL team versus a rugby team, and we should do a baseball team versus a cricket team. Are there any other ones? No, I don't think so. Plus, there's a long way for JJ. The kid just turned 15. Good for years after he makes his senior debut. I mean, yeah, this is why I like the youth players, but sometimes I get quite annoyed by the hype because, I mean, I've been seeing it on social media, and they're like, oh my God, look how amazing he is. And I'm like, that's great. But how does that help us now? That kid's not ready. Like, you're not going to see him for the next couple of years. Maybe when he's 17. I don't think you'll see him at... He's 15. I don't think you'll see him at 16. You probably might not see him at 17. I just don't get too caught up in that, because I'm like, that's great that we have a really young, talented kid in the academy. Wish him nothing but the best. I hope to see you soon. But you just never know what's going to happen in that time, and I don't like to deal too much until the players are basically there. Unless when they're close to the line of coming up, yeah, then that's when I get a little bit more interested, because that's when it becomes a bit more of a reality. Right now, JJ Gabriel at 15 years old is not a reality. He's not going to play for us, yeah? He's not going to come into the first team. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at 15. It's not going to happen at 16. You can make an argument if he's really, really that talented at 17, yeah? So in 2 years' time, I'll give a shit, and I'll give a shit more, and I'll see where he is. But I hope he's like the next, I don't know, you know, Ronaldinho or something. I really do, because we need them. We need more of them. NFL isn't a real sport, so you say. Quite entertaining, though. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Let me just round this up. How long we've been live for? A good hour? Shout out to all the people watching. Please make sure you smash the like button if you didn't hit the like button. It helps the channel. Very greatly appreciated. So let me just hit these points, and then we'll move on to Bruno, and we'll move on to some of the other stuff that has come out, yeah? Glazers over 5 billion. So why it's speculated as, other than the Glazers being greedy bastards, why is the price so high? They benchmarked it against mega sales like the Lakers, who sold for £10 billion in June 2025, and Chelsea, obviously, as we just talked about, they went for about 4.25 billion in 2022. But experts like ex-United finance director Cliff Biles calls it unrealistic, and says United's a premium brand, but a £5 billion buyout plus massive post-sale spend on squad and stadium could hit 7 to 8 billion total. Glazer's rejected £6 billion valuations in 2023. Market fatigue from poor on-pitch results, example, not top four finish since 2021, drags it down. And that's the argument that the other side is going to make, but the Glazers are, they are scummy, yeah? And they're gonna fight for it, and they're gonna hold out, and they're gonna continue to hold out. The funding angle, UAE cash reserves could cover it debt-free, unlike Glazer's 2005 leveraged buyout that saddled United with £500 million plus debt. Now it's at £650 million. Ratcliffe gets first dibs on any Glazer share sale, but only for 12 months post 2024 deal, and it has expired. So he can't block. He can't block, and he doesn't have any first refusal rights anymore. Yeah, so this is why he could get royally fucked. Because again, if you're UAE and you want to make a bid or anywhere else in the world, you don't have to go to Sir Jim. Sir Jim doesn't need to know about it. Ineos doesn't need to know about it. All the people on the board don't need to know about it. All you need to do is go directly to the Glazers, strike a deal with them, and it's done. The Glazers don't have to tell Sir Jim. They don't need to know about it. Nobody needs to know about it. It solely involves two parties, which is the bidder or the potential new buyer and the Glazers. And until if they agree a deal, you announce the deal and it's done and dusted and nobody can do anything about it. So Ratcliffe on October 8th told the Times that the Glazers have no say in football operations and dismissed sack talk from manager Ruben Amorim. No direct comment on takeover yet, but sources say he's committed and open to counter bids. He's invested £50 million in Carrington upgrades and eyes a $2 billion stadium rebuild. So yeah. Kids should be cleaning the terraces and shining their idle boots with the hope to be called on one day. How times have changed. Well, yeah, because you can already be sort of a star before you're actually a star on the pitch, DJ. That's kind of why there's a problem with the social media thing, yeah? Because, I mean, social media has connected so many people, and look at sort of like Lamine Yamal, yeah? I mean, I know he's won the Euros, and he's a very, very good player, but in terms of like, in terms of like his career in the amount of years, he's still got a long way to go, and to be cemented in history with the other legends, like how Ronaldo and Messi have gone down with the likes of Maradona and Pele, yeah, like Lamine, the next like 10 years, he's gonna have to be like unstoppable. He's gonna have to win everything. He's gonna have to do all that stuff, but he's a very young kid. He's very, very good. He's already done quite well, but social media is already propping him up as a god. Yeah. And he could fail because maybe he ends up not winning the Champions League or whatever. Maybe he doesn't win a World Cup, etc., etc. We don't know. You would say he has a very good chance of doing it because of how talented he is. But I'm just saying, like, this is where we are, because you can already be so hyped up before you even actually really, win anything on the football pitch. Whereas back in the day, you wouldn't get the credit until you did it, yeah? For the most part. And you wouldn't become like some sort of a world-known phenomenon until you conquer the world by being the best in the world. And that would be, like Pele and Maradona. I mean, they had to be the best in the world, and everybody knew about them because they were better than everybody. and they did it everywhere. World Cup, international matches, and all that stuff. So, and it's kind of like the music industry even today. I mean, music, basically, you know, back in the day, you had to really be good because your sales, like your music actually had to really be good because your sales depended on physical copies and you had to sell the physical copies. In today's time, you don't actually have to be good. You just have to have a lot of hype because it's all about plays. And your plays are sales now. Your views are sales. Whereas before, the music industry, you actually had to make good music because you had to get people to listen to it and you had to get people to actually like it for people to go and buy the copies so you can make money from it. In today's time, all you have to do is create some sort of hype online and people will go and listen to your music, and whether it's good or not, you get paid for that. Yeah. So it's just a different society. um your question to me about Bruno, when he leaves, who should we build our team around? I think who we should build our team around, I don't think necessarily we should build our team around one specific player. I think we should just build a team. um if that kind of makes sense. I know usually you sort of have like a focal point in the team, but I don't think we should actually be building a team around the player. I don't really like that sort of thing. I think you can have a player or two that are, you know, in the S tier sort of category and they're at the top and they are the leaders of said team. But I think in reality what we should really be doing is just building the strongest actual team, a team that complements each other all over the place, a team that pulls the weight together, a team that fights for each other, and each individual in the team does a job that forms the team. Yeah. And obviously you'll have one or two that they stand out above the bunch, but I actually think that's a bit of our problem. Like, we've been trying to build the team maybe around Pogba, maybe around Bruno, but it never really works. Yeah, because it's like the level of that player is so high and the rest of the team is not that high. So I think if you get a team, if you have one of your best players and the rest of the team is a basically almost the same level as your best player, well then you just have a really really good team. And you're not really building around that player, you're just building a full team. Um but that's always been my thing. It's a team sport. There's 11 players on the pitch. You got a squad of 22. I don't think you should necessarily be looking to build it specifically around one player. I think that's how you end up becoming sort of a one-man team. Um, when I look back into the past of Sir Alex Ferguson, I mean, he had a few different pieces that he sort of built around. I don't think he ever built around one specific player. He had or would acquire a few different pieces to the puzzle and then build the rest of it around it. But it was sort of more of a team molding aspect than specifically of, you know, I have Wayne Rooney, let me build around him. I have, you know, I don't know, whatever player you want to mention, you know, I got Giggsy, let me build around him. He didn't really do that. And I think that's why we were so successful, because he built real teams. Um, Sorry, I lost my spot here. According to Google, rugby came 2 years before NFL. You bloody Americans are always copying us. Well, I mean, listen, we do have a history, yeah. I mean, you guys did. We were a colony, yeah. We were a British colony at one point. We do have a connection of some sort. So, Lawrence Burry says, "How are you, bud? Would you like new American owners, Chelsea model?" I don't really I don't per se really want Americans. I'm not against, I guess, an American owner if they're, I guess it depends who it is. Um but I don't really want an American owner because I know how American owners can be. This country is very money driven and I don't really trust them, and the Glazers have shown the prime example of how they don't give a shit about the sport and it's all a business. And I would be quite weary of any potential buy of an American. Yeah, I mean it depends who it is at the end of the day, of course. I don't really care too much of who it would be and what part of the world it really comes from, as long as, like I said the last show, they have respect for the club, they have respect for the country and the culture of England, um, and the culture of Manchester United. And at the end of the day, all they need to have or show really is that they're going to do whatever it takes to make Manchester United great again. And that's by not running it as a business and running it as a football club, and putting in as much as they possibly can, money wise, financially wise, putting money into the club. Like whoever comes with a plan and says we are going to invest this amount of money, kind of like how Chelsea did with Todd Bowley, yeah. And they have the deal that they're going to invest that amount of billions into the club. That's what we need. We need owners that want to make Manchester United win again as the sole purpose. Um, we need owners that are going to be like, we have the money and here is the money, and put the money into our football club and literally just make everything good again. All the training facilities, get the best in class in you know, in the positions at the football club, directors of footballs, you know, pay them whatever you got to pay them, get the best players, invest a lot of money, get the stadium done, you know, get that data analysts and get machines that do this sort of thing. You know, just revamp the whole thing. That's really what we need. So whoever it is, wherever they're from, if that's their offer and that's their plan and that's their platform, I will stand behind it. It doesn't matter if they're Chinese or if they're from, you know, the Middle East or they're from America. If that's what they offer and that's their plan and they can sort of sell it and prove it, I'll back it. But I am a bit weary of American investors, because I know that when you talk about Manchester United, the Premier League, there is a lot of money sort of untapped in your guys' market. Yeah, you don't really see it how we see it. I mean, everything is about money here. Everything is super commercialism. I mean, you get a good example of it from the Glazers. I think they've given you the best example of what it is. I mean, when you watch the NFL or you watch the NBA, there's multiple timeouts, and that's all because of advertisements, mid-game advertisements. It's all about money. It's all about money. It's not really about the sport. It's about money. So I don't really trust American investors. I would be quite cautious if it was some sort of an American buyer coming in. Um, you know, even with Todd Bowley coming in, I did actually quite figure that Chelsea were probably going to be quite fucked. Uh, yeah, he owns the Dodgers, or he's involved with the Dodgers. Um, but certainly in the beginning, I mean, they looked like a disaster. They seem to be going in a very good direction right now, and we'll see what comes out of it. With Todd Bowley being there, and you know, it's not like every American has the urge to do what the Glazers have done, but it is a bit of a sort of a different type of culture. Especially like, you know, Saudi Arabia not Saudi Arabia, the Middle East, they have a lot of money, those countries, yeah. And they're doing it for different purposes. I feel like Americans would probably come in to try and make a profit more so than actually give a shit about the sport, because our sports are not really, it's not really football. Yeah, our sports are NFL, our sports are MLB, NHL, you know, hockey, basketball, American football. It's not too big on 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 European football. So um Lawrence Burke says, I hear spring 2027 is the deadline for the Glazers. We just went over that. But without Europe again, they might well not get their mega buyout. Well, you know, the thing is, it's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts. It's hard to really determine. There's so many different factors that go in this. You would drive yourself crazy trying to pinpoint and nail it down exactly how it would go and what might actually happen. So, um, Lucky says Adam Glazer will first person quietly say no. What no? Point being in Manchester United now. Yamal is good. I like him, but damn, the glaze though is ridiculous. This is just what I'm saying. It's a social media thing. Grace says Delo is better than Yamal. Where did Delo finish on the Ballon d'Or list? Grace? Where was Delo on the what position did he finish on the Ballon d'Or list? Um yeah, JJ Gabriel. That's right. He was called up to train with England without even playing for a first team. Apparently, yeah. Which is quite weird. Isn't that weird? Has that ever happened before? Is that like a normal thing? I mean, he's never played for us, but they called him up to England. Who does he know? Um Build around the low, says Grace. Start from the back would be good. Lucky asked me if I like motor race sport. Not really. I can't. I'm not gonna. I mean, like it's cool, yeah. But I'm not. I can't say that like I watch it. Yeah, I don't really. I don't really watch it. I don't actually. I don't watch it. But I see clips and stuff of it. But I've never gotten into that sort of stuff. Um, I don't really understand it. Like all the ins and outs of it. I got some friends that are big fans of F1 and stuff like that. There's a lot of females that are fans of F1 and racing, which I find interesting. Yeah. I know quite a good amount of females, and they are all F1 fans. So they like cars, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. As long as that owner brings success, that's all we want. That's what I'm saying. But when it comes to this sort of thing, DJ, to me, it's and I know people are gonna get involved and be like, they don't like this person from this background, or they don't want this person because they come from this country and they have this sort of cultural beliefs or something like that. And to each their own. If you want to hold that opinion, that's fine. I'm not gonna like try and debate you on that. I'm not gonna, but I just don't. For me, I've given that up. Yeah, because I used to be one that I used to hold certain beliefs that I didn't really like a certain country or whatever because they have this sort of culture belief. But at the end of the day, I don't live there. And they have the right to have their own whatever they do. And they do. And some things might be bad and disagree with. And, you can call it out. But at the end of the day, it's their country. They live there. They're allowed to have or do whatever they want. Just like where I live, we have different rights and cultural preferences and stuff like that doesn't necessarily translate. And I kind of have both sides of the aisle, yeah, because I was born in America and grew up in America, but I have deep roots to my parents' home country. So I get a little bit of the European culture and I have the American culture, and I kind of double dip on both sides, and I do see differences, and I do see how some things in America in the culture is acceptable, and when you go over there it's not acceptable, and vice versa. So you know but people are going to be people, and they're allowed to have their opinions, and they're going to say what they want. So buy more clubs, get sports F1 football cylinder. Lyle says respect the club and puts the club first, will always be welcome. The money will come with care and respect. Yeah, I mean, but what I'm saying is the mentality that we want, yeah, is that basically, I mean, I'm just going to say what it is. Yeah. For the most part, it's basically all Middle East. Yeah. Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, whatever. I mean, they're the ones that are pretty much like, we have a shit ton of money and we're buying football clubs, and the goal is to make them the best football club in the world. Like, that is the mentality. It's about getting a football club and investing money into it and investing time and effort to make it the greatest. Not to make it the greatest so that we can suck all the money out of it and commercialize the shit out of it. That might be a byproduct, not sucking the money out of it, but commercializing and making profit and return. I don't expect them to, be a charity, but if you look at City, if you look at PSG, if you look at Newcastle, do they stand to make money if they make them the best teams in the world? Sure. But is that their ultimate goal was to buy it so we can make more money? No. They bought it with the intention of, we want to get involved in this sport, and we're going to make this thing that we now own, that's on our name, we're going to make it the greatest thing in the world. And that's really what we need. We need whoever comes in to buy it has to just come basically with the mentality and the funds and just be like, I own this thing and I want to make this thing the greatest thing in the world. I want the fans to be proud. It's good for my name, and it's good for people around the world as well. Gray says, I just wanted someone to buy 100% and clear the debt, even if the team was built slower because of their funds. Well, that is a good point. Yeah. I think maybe we get a little bit too crazy with like build it in the first. Listen, even if it's somebody that has hundreds of billions of dollars, yeah, or pounds or whatever, and they buy the club, and I know I'm talking about it in a way of like, you come in, you make everything great, yeah, and it sounds real easy, like you're gonna do it in 6 months time. It's not gonna happen in 6 months time, but so they would still need a good 2-3 years to really set up everything for us to get there, yeah. But I think Grace put it in the much better, simpler terms. Is just that really all we want is 100% new owner. We want somebody to be able to get rid of the debt. Manchester United used to be self-sustaining. We can 100% be self-sustaining anyway without really the extra money. If we turn it back, if we clear the debt and we operate correctly and we get rid of the Glazers. We're only here because of the Glazers. We're only here because of what they've done to our football club. We used to be self-sufficient. We used to be ones with the most money because we were the biggest and we were successful. The Glazers destroyed that. So, I mean, really all we do need is somebody to buy 100%, clear the debt. And I still think whoever does that, whether you have unlimited amount of money or you have a capped amount of money, it's still going to take 2 to 3 years once they come in to build a solid team. You don't build a solid team overnight, not to quote Sir Jim Ratcliffe, but you don't. You don't. You could do it a lot quicker if you have a lot more funds available. But still, even in that process, maybe you do it in 2 seasons, in 2 summer windows. Maybe you do it in 3 windows. You do 2 summers and a January transfer window, yeah? It's still going to take time for the team to gel, for the team to properly play together and stuff like that. It's still going to be a process, yeah? Newcastle is sort of a bad example because they can't put in all the money that they probably would like to because they don't have the market for it. They don't have the financials for it. They would get hit by FFP and PSR and stuff like that. But Manchester City, as you're seeing, is going on. I mean, even City took a little bit of time, and that's because they were restricted with the financials. But now, the more that they do better, the more money, the better sponsorship deals, the more money they can put in. Yeah. So my man said he had to leave about an hour ago. I think United fans around the world are chilling him out. Oh, that was Shea Lacey. Yeah, it was Shea Lacey. But still, has Shea Lacey even played for us professionally? This JJ Gabriel kid, if I see Amarim saying he doesn't fit the system like he does with Manu, I will switch sports. I don't think he necessarily says that Kobe doesn't. I think there's a disagreement. I don't think he says Kobe doesn't fit the system. I think he just sees Kobe as a young guy that needs to develop more, and he doesn't have some of the qualities yet. But I don't think, because to be quite honest, I would argue Bruno doesn't fit the system more than Manu does. I think Bruno doesn't fit his system way more than Mano does. So I don't think that's the problem that we're having here. Gracious, stop lying. You don't know any females. I definitely do. kind of kind of guy do you think I am? Um, DJ Darkest Night, unbelievable. They buy the tickets every week. Fans talking about money. My kids are watching this and asking why we're even talking about football. Yeah, unfortunately, I mean this is where we are at the moment. Um, yeah, we'll switch to football now. We're gonna talk about Bruno. DJ Darkest Night says, "Okay, gentlemen and ladies, score against Liverpool. I'm going 2-0 United. Audacious, audacious. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what score to give because I don't. I hate to be this guy. I hate to be this United fan. Yeah, because I know and I understand that we should always. We always need to go there and fight. We always need to look to win. We have to uphold the values and the standards that the Glazers have been eroding and eroded over these so many years that they've been here. But I just I just don't know what they're gonna give us. And I just really feel like we probably don't really have a chance of winning. I feel like we might have had a better chance of getting a good result before this international break, but I'm telling you, this international break shit bothers me. Every time, and I think it happened under Amarim and it happened under Ten Hag as well. So you're talking about 3 years. Every time we get to a spot where maybe we look like we get a good result or we pick up a little bit of form or we get a little bit of a good run, 2-3 matches on the bounce, and we hit an international break, we go to the international break, we come back from the international break, and we play absolutely shit. We play absolutely shit. We come back and we play like it's the first day of the season again, like we didn't have a preseason, like like we don't know who, our teammates are every single time. And I've been telling my friends, a couple of them are Arsenal fans, they're rooting for us when we play Liverpool. And I've been telling them, I'm like, we got fucked. That's just how I feel. It's like we got fucked. Liverpool lost 3 matches in a row. We got a positive result against Sunderland. There's a good win. We could have taken that win to Anfield versus Liverpool. Liverpool is struggling, and now there's a 2-week break in between. And I was like, for us, I think it's bad because it stops our momentum, and we're gonna come back, and it's kind of like a reset. And for Liverpool, it's good because it's a pause, it's a break. It gives them 2 weeks to figure out shit and sort of reset. So I just feel like I feel like if it was to work in our favor, we would have played that Liverpool match before we went to international break. I think we've gotten fucked. Now I hope that that's not the case, and maybe we come back and we actually put in a very good performance, and maybe we're able to get a draw or something out of it. If we get a win, I mean, we're all gonna go shit bonkers, yeah. Um, but from the very least, from the team, if we don't win, I need to see blood, sweat, and tears for 90 minutes from the first whistle to the last whistle. I need to see people bleeding out there on the pitch, putting their bodies on the line, fighting for every ball, being aggressive, being strong, going hard into tackles. I need to see all of that from minute 1 to minute 90. Um, that is, at the very least, needs to be there. So, Well, Johnny, I will just say I don't think it's necessarily maybe his talent. It's just that the manager has a specific like it's his decision. Yeah, I don't think I don't think it's necessarily that Mano isn't good enough in terms of ability wise. I think it's just that he prefers somebody else to another position. That's it. That's all it is. Um, because of certain qualities. Maybe he's not strong enough, or he's not experienced enough, or something like that. I don't know. I don't think it has to do with anything of like he doesn't think that he's not good. It's whatever Ruben is looking for in certain players when it comes to certain positions. And I do think while Kobe is a very good player, I think that Kobe is probably lacking in some areas. Yeah. Um, Still, that's the whole point because he's a young guy and he needs to develop. He's not 26. He's not a finished article. And I think Ruben has made a decision, which I'm not surprised by because look at what he's doing in the team. He's not really playing much young players. The only one that's really playing is Euro. The only one that's really playing like how people feel like Kobe should be playing is Euro. Euro is practically the only one. Other than that, it's literally experience all over the pitch. Every player that Ruben asked for, he wanted experienced players. He asked for Ali Watkins. He asked for Emi Martinez. That it doesn't mean that he's right. He could be wrong. He could be wrong, and he could be wrong about Mano. He could be, he could be making the wrong decision about it. I'm just saying, from the manager's standpoint, that's what it seems like. Again, I don't think it's that he doesn't really. I don't think it's that he doesn't actually rate him. I think he just looks at it more of one of like, I want you to develop in some certain areas a little bit more. You're a young guy, and there's no need to like be pushing you into starting when we have some experienced players in the position that can carry the mantle. Yeah. But that could be the wrong decision. You should be going with Mano. I personally, I again, that midfield for me, I would be playing Mano and Ugarte. Maybe Mano and Casemiro. If Mano and Ugarte doesn't work, I'd go with Mano and Casemiro. You have a youngster and you have experienced player, and maybe that balance would work well. But maybe it wouldn't. Maybe we play that for 10 matches and it's shit. Maybe we play Mano and Ugarte for another 10 matches and it's shit. I mean, Mano has played with Casemiro a couple times going back to last season. We still struggled and it was still hard and it didn't really work out too well. So no guarantee that it would be better. Gravenberch and McAllister against Bruno and Casemiro. We are cooked. Maybe. But they got to step up to the match, yeah? You could have a match, you could have a game, you could have a day. You got to step up. You got to play above your abilities. Lyle says this international break for us came at the wrong time. It always comes at the wrong time, Lyle. Every international break we've had has come mostly in recent years. I think there's once or twice where we were just like absolutely just like it was dreadful and the international break came and we're like, thank God. We could just take like 2 weeks off now. But there's been a lot of times where it's like, I can remember a couple times on the Ten Hag, like we hit a little bit of form. Like we had three, 4 good games. I'm like, all right, we're starting to roll. International break comes, we come back, loss, draw immediately, drop points. And I hope this time is different, but I just feel like my gut is telling me that it's not going to be. My gut is very worried. Yeah. Yeah, Liverpool are out of sorts too, but that's what I'm saying. I feel like in this stage, it's given them time to adjust. They got 2 weeks off, reset, figure out some things. Whereas you might not have that amount of time if you had to play. Literally, we would have been playing this week. Yeah, you would have less time. Now they have more time to sort of figure shit out and get themselves back on track, which is a disadvantage for us because we're still sort of a mess. I mean, we've beaten Sunderland, but we're very inconsistent. We're one good game, one bad game. one okay game, one bad game, and then one good game. So we're still struggling, trying to find out our process. They were on a trajectory of evening it out a little bit because they were on, they lost 3 matches. But I mean, they won the league last year, and they're more well built than us. So I think advantage to them. Honestly, no more international football. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Not until not until when the league is done. Then bring all the international football you want, because I want to watch football. But DJ Dark as I says, yep, if we lose, let's lose well. Totally. I mean, that's the least that we have to do. Yeah, if we lose, we have to lose well, because again, I know this is like, it's weird for me to say. I kind of hate saying it because it's Liverpool and I'm a United fan, and we should be wanting to go and demand a win and beat them. But the reality is like the gap of where they are and where we are is quite far. Yeah, we have to live in today's time as well. And, if we lose, like, I'm gonna be upset, but it's not like I'm gonna fucking go absolutely bonkers and be like, how could we have done this? I mean, I think everybody kind of expects Liverpool to beat us, yeah? So the thing is, like, if they do beat us, we have to do it with dignity, yeah? We have to do it with respect to us and our football club. We have to put up a good game. I can live with a loss if the team gives 100% on the pitch and just be like, listen, every player gave it their all and did as much as they possibly could, and there was nothing more that we could do. We were just outclassed on the day. It's But if we go out there and we play like absolute dog shit, and like we've done in some matches in the past when we got fucking destroyed 7-1, and it was an utter disgrace, that that can never be acceptable. But if you go into the match and we lose 2-0, 2-1, something like that, or whatever, and we fight hard the entire match, I mean, you just move on and go, well, it's an L. It was kind of to be expected. We put up a good fight, and let's go on to the next match, and let's get a win in that one now. So, Mbeumo scored and was immense for Cameroon. He did. Hopefully, he could get some goals. We need him and Cunha to start scoring, yeah. And I'm backing them that it's going to start, but I would like to see one of them like just getting the ball in the net, as well as Sesko. Sesko is scored 2 goals in 2 games, so it's good. Amir says, welcome to my club, biggest and best in the world. Absolutely. How you doing, Amir? I hope you're doing good. Lucky says Xerxes needs training time and game. Lyle says Liverpool doesn't really play well against this type of formation historically, and I do hope their heads are still gone by the time we play them. Amir says Qatar, UAE group, Saudi investors can take and buy for my club. Yep. Green and gold until the club is sold. Well, Amir is just fully into the whole sale of the club. DJ says it's funny how our old players are thriving in their positions, and United are not thriving because no one knows where they are supposed to be. ? Well, again, I think there's many different factors to this sort of thing, and there's many different things you can make an argument about. You can argue they were mismanaged. You can say they were played out of position. You can make an argument that maybe they weren't suited for the Premier League. You can argue that Manchester United is a mess and it leads to their downfall. I think there's a lot of different things, but for me, I still hold on to the fact of that until I see a player go from United to another Premier League club and perform to, I guess, some of the levels that some of our former players are doing in other leagues, in other teams, playing a different type of football, with the different aspects in those leagues, less physical, less speed to a certain extent. I refuse this sort of Manchester United cursed type of thing that they try to say, that like it's just like you walk into United and you turn shit. I think a lot of the things is that It was bad player recruitment, bad squad building. Our team is a mess. I think that plays a hand, but also I think if you get a player from the Premier League and you send them to Italy, I think it's a lot easier in Italy than the Premier League if you don't have the qualities, especially for the Premier League. Then you have to take on the factor of it's Manchester United. There's a lot of scrutiny, a lot of pressure. We've talked about many times how this place will destroy you with the pressure. You will be crushed. You will be eaten up. It is a monster. It is a beast. And if you don't have the capabilities to handle that sort of thing, you will get utterly crushed. You will get utterly destroyed. So I think there's probably a few different things in there. But if you go on the internet, it is quite hyperbolic, and they will just tell you United is cursed, and when you leave United, you will be free. And I'm just like, all right, well, whatever. If you want to believe in some sort of cursed magic, go ahead. I don't think that's what there is. I think there's multiple different reasons for it. Like Scott McTominay as a midfielder in the Premier League, when he played for us, he wasn't that great, yeah? When we played him more forward, he had more of an impact. But we didn't really necessarily have room for him there. In terms of, because that's where Bruno was playing at the time. So he could have been a substitute if he wanted to be. But as a central midfielder, he was not good, yeah? There was multiple games where he would go hiding. He wasn't great defensive-wise either. But Italy, I mean, and he wasn't the fastest. Italy is slower. And Napoli is a team that they just won the league, so they're well constructed. I mean, even for Rasmus, it's a good place to go. I mean, he was there already. He was a little bit used to Italian football. And Napoli have a good team. Like, they are well suited to each other. It's easier to slot in, and also Napoli's not United. Like, Napoli has fans. Napoli's not getting criticized every day and a half on the TV or on social media like United is. Napoli doesn't have ex-legends of the football club on TV criticizing them every day. So there's a lot of different circumstances that it goes into that. Glazers love money, not football. Well, that 100%. Let's give Amarim time, please. Well, actually, you know what? Since you bring this up, I want to ask you guys, because, you know, there's been a lot of talk, and there's been a lot of sort of, you know, we've been very angry. We've been very sort of sad. We've been very sort of, you know, depressed and sort of, you know, just a lot of anger towards Ruben, towards the team so far this season. Still early in the season, but so far with the way things are going, I mean, people asking for Ruben to get sacked, even me saying that, you know, he's probably going to get sacked. Not that I'm advocating for him to get sacked. I just felt like there was no hope really of him turning it around. But, you know, those are feelings in the moment. I always take time to reflect and take a sort of a step back and try and think of other things. And I was speaking about this with my father the other day, and I was like, do you guys think that maybe we were being a little bit slightly overreactive and maybe a little bit too hyperbolic about the current situation? Because we changed the whole attack, yeah? So we have a brand new attack. Obviously, we have a problem in the midfield, which is an issue. But we did have the hardest start out of any team in the Premier League. We had the hardest schedule. We played the most top 4 teams. And when you look at it in context of the amount of points that we're on behind certain positions in the league, it's actually not that bad, is it, though? Like, it's not as bad as I felt like we were making it out to be when we were suffering bad performances. I think the performance was enhancing sort of the anger of or you know, doomsday type of things. Do you guys feel like maybe we're just sort of we got to just wait a little bit longer? Because I kind of feel like now, personally, I feel like I kind of maybe just jumped the gun a bit. I kind of fell into it because I was upset from what I was seeing from the team, and I was just like, this is toast, man. It's toast. But really, when I take that sort of stuff more into context, I'm like, well, if we had the hardest schedule and we are where we are coming off of last season, and we have a whole brand new attack, and we need to figure out how to get that to click. I think actually we're not in that bad of a position where I think the manager should actually be getting sacked. Um, I think it was more of that, like there's a huge mess, and I don't know if he has the answers or he's going to be able to find the answers to solve those things. So eventually, it would lead to him being sacked. But I don't want to see him sacked. I want to see him succeed. And actually, I think with those things taken into consideration and us having the hardest schedule, I think we're doing all right, to be quite honest. That leads me into what I've been saying this whole time, is that it's not it's not the Chelseas, it's not the Cities, and it's not the Liverpools or the Arsenals that are going to get him sacked. What would get him sacked is not being able to beat the other teams, like the Brightons and the Brentfords, and the Brightons and the Villas and the, whoever, Leeds United and stuff like that, and getting good positive results against them. So Lauren says Chelsea has bought 3 players for every position, but even that will only win them the Club World Cup. Well, you can do that, but it's still, again, it takes time to kind of make that click and work, yeah? And they have to be good buys anyway. But DJ says, as Sir Alex Ferguson once famously said to the United board after winning at Oxford while third bottom from the first division, "Oh, ye of little faith." Did he actually say that? Oh yeah, of little faith. Yeah, I can't do that. I don't know why I would try to do that accent. I can't do that shit. Hoyland also now has KDB, who is actively looking for him, and not surprised his form has translated over to Denmark. Well, yeah, I mean, listen, if you're confident, you're scoring goals and you're enjoying yourself, um, and you're scoring a goal in the Champions League and you're scoring a goal in the Serie A when you go to play for Denmark against Belarus, I think you should have the confidence to go score. For your national team, also international football isn't as strong as club football, so yeah. But it's amazing confidence can do for anybody, yeah. And again, like they won't have the scrutiny over there that they do at United, and social media plays a hand that we have so many fans. We have more fans. We can overpopulate the entire place in Napoli. Yeah, like it's 2 different levels. So I know when you look at it on a basic flat surface level view, you say, well, at United he was bad. At Napoli he's good. United suck. United bad. Napoli better. Don't go United. Go anywhere. Be free. Okay, cool. Great argument. Like add a little bit of depth to it. But a lot of people, this is what they do. I actually can't stand it because they try to make an argument on a very basic surface level, and it's just like, but when you break it down and you go into the details, there's a lot more to the story than what you're saying. I can't really deal with those people. It's like they just take a couple minutes, man. Think, use your brain, add a little bit of substance to the conversation. But that's what a lot of society, not here, this community is great, yeah, but just social media and a lot of society is just red, green, black, white, and that's it. And then like they've solved all the answers, and that's what it is. Lucky says, I have got us respectively level where we can get top 9 side good. Mania will never get onto the pitch because Ruben refuses to adopt Bruno. Well, that is one of the problems, yeah? That is one of the problems. But I mean, he is getting onto the pitch. Like, again, we have to like kind of be careful with how we're saying things, yeah, because that's not. I know what you're trying to say, but again, with the words, when you say it like that, you know, when you say it like that, and when people say it like that, because I see people saying things like that, it makes it sound like Ruben has grabbed Mainu, put him in a dungeon underneath Old Trafford, and locked away the key and threw him out. And we haven't seen Mainu, like, you know, we haven't seen his face or anything. I mean, Mainu is playing. He's not playing maybe the amount of time you want him to, maybe, you know, but he is playing. Like, he is getting minutes. Ruben is giving him game time. And in the beginning, he was giving him very little, but over the past few matches, he's been giving him time. So he's been giving him more time than before. So he is getting substitute appearances. He is getting opportunities. He is getting chances, and he's getting minutes. So it's not like Ruben, you know, because I kind of feel like this story is like Ruben totally hates Mainu and wants to sell him. And I'm like, if that was the case, he wouldn't play him. Like, I don't know. Like, we've had this guy for almost a year now. You hear how he speaks. You hear how he's quite straightforward with his beliefs. If he didn't rate Mainu and didn't like Mainu, we would never see Mainu play. And in fact, Mainu would probably have been sold in the summer. Yeah? So it's just not where you might prefer or think that you want it to be. And I get that. That's fine. You're allowed to hold that opinion. But just from the other side, I mean, he is the manager. He has his own decisions to make. And I don't think it's fair to say that he totally doesn't rate him. I think if he actually didn't rate him, he just wouldn't use him. He just wouldn't use him. He wouldn't play him. I mean, for me, I would say Xerxes is more of a concern that he doesn't rate, because Xerxes not playing at all. Xerxes not even getting 2 minutes on the pitch. And last time he put Mainu in, he didn't put Ugarte in, and he put Mainu in as a 10, and he didn't put Xerxes in as a 10. So, you know, I think people get a little bit emotional because they really like Kobe Mainu. They believe in him. And I get it, because I do too. I mean, I got his kit upstairs, and he's the last one of a dying breed, because every kit that I've bought in the past couple of years has gone to a disaster. I mean, I had the Garnacho one up there. I can't wear that thing anymore. So that one's going on the wall as well, with the name to the back. So we never see it again, and we only see the front. Mainu's the last one. He's the last one. So, yeah, I mean, I believe in him. But again, I will hold the belief, like, he's a young kid, and he still has a long way to go. And I'm sure he'll get his chances, and I believe in his ability, and he'll get there. I can be patient with the kid. I'm not worried about him. I'm not concerned about him. There's no real need of an urgency to do what he's got to do, which is just put in the work. Elias says, look, I understand the situation. Fans are upset because they're not seeing that it's only the start of the season, but rather a continuation of last season. It's been a long run of bad outcomes. And that I understand. I do understand that. And I do understand that's where that sort of sentiment is coming from. Because even I was doing it. It kind, you know, when you look at the total win percentage from his time that he came in here from November of last season to now, and it's like at 30% or something, it's quite low. His record is shit. Yeah, his record is shit. It's hard to look at. You can't even really defend it, can you? I mean, you have 18 wins, whatever, how many ties, and 18 losses. I mean, that's a horrible record, right? It's hard, but when I look at it, but then you have to take the time to split it and be like, well, this is a new season. And as long as mathematically, again, we're doing okay, because mathematically means that we're getting points and we're putting in performances on the pitch. You have to give him this shot. You know, you can't sack him 6 matches into the new season because he lost 14 matches last season when we're still in an okay position. So I think I get that it is sort of a continuation, and you get caught up in it, but I'm kind of just I'm trying to just solely look at this, and solely so far at this season, if we had the hardest start out of every team, I think we're doing okay, which means that there is improvement, because they keep talking about there's improvement, yeah? So put sort of the money where the mouth is, and once we get like sort of a lighter schedule, well, I want to see the proof there, yeah? Can we get 2-3 games in a row? Can we actually get 2 games first? Let's start there, and then we'll look at 3 and see what happens after that. Lucky says he had minutes, Mano, but not taking chance. And I would agree to that as well, a little bit as well. And people are going to argue 20, 25 minutes isn't enough. But I'm sorry, I hold the belief that because this is the mentality that I grew up with, yeah? If you get 5 minutes on the pitch, reality 5 minutes is not enough, yeah? But you take that 5 minutes and you do the utmost you possibly can with that 5 minutes. If you get 10 minutes, you do the utmost possibility with 10 minutes. You gotta do with the time you get. This is football. That's what it is. That's just what it is. And sometimes you find yourself in that position. I was the same for my school team. Yeah, I almost didn't make the team. Now that's because the coach is a dumbass. Because I'll tell you a story about it in a second. But yeah, I mean, that's just how football is. Like, you're gonna have people that play and start all the time, and there's other people that aren't. But you gotta push to put yourself in that position. And I'm gonna be quite honest. I mean, there was a couple games where Kobe came on and he didn't really do anything with the amount of time that he had. No impact per se. There was a couple games he came on and he made it sort of a quick impact right away, and he looked, he made things look a lot better as soon as he came in. But I would kind of argue that so far he hasn't really taken any of the chances that he's gotten to make the argument of, say, look, you're fucking up monumentally. I'm doing way better than both of the options you're picking. Put me in. It's not like, and I will liken it to exactly like Diallo. Diallo came off of a very good loan. Many people expected him to get an opportunity and a chance. Ten Hag, being Ten Hag, very stubborn, and kept playing Rashford, kept playing Anthony, and kept doing it. And they were both shit on a week-in basis, yeah? And when Diallo came on for 5 minutes. And Diallo had an impact like that on the pitch immediately. Better than whatever Anthony just did for 80 minutes or whatever it was. And better than whatever Rashford was doing. And the next one that he got was for another 5 minutes. And he did it again. Yeah? And then Diallo got 10 minutes. And he did it again. So much so to the point that you literally could not pick him. Yeah? Because you give him 5 minutes, he made an impact. You give him 10 minutes, he's having a bigger impact. You give him 15 minutes, he's having an even bigger impact. To the point that it was just like, you have to start this guy. Because I'm putting him in for 10 minutes, and he's doing more in 10 minutes than these guys are doing for 80 minutes on the pitch. Maynard's not doing that yet. I think he can do it. I will argue that he will do it. But he hasn't done it yet, so he doesn't deserve for it to happen. You got to earn it. You got to earn it. And he's a young kid. He's a young kid. And he still needs to develop more. He's not perfect. He ain't perfect. Lauren says, I stick with my instinct that a 10 to 12 billion investment required to compete for the league title by end of title. Well, yeah, I mean, for us, Lawrence, I think that probably is what it comes out to. I mean, listen, you're gonna have to pay about 6 billion, maybe more, 6 billion, somewhere around there for the club. You got to get rid of the debt. That's about another billion. You got to invest in all the infrastructure for the club. So stadium. I know they improved the training facilities, but we could probably do better because you could always use more investment. You could always use more money everywhere. And there's always different levels. So whatever we leveled it up to, there's other levels above what we currently have. So You would look for investment there. You would look for investment into the youth setup. You would look for investment in the analytics departments and the data departments and getting machines that we apparently don't have and systems that we don't have or didn't have or upgrading them. Getting people like directors of football or scouts that are on a higher level. They're going to cost more money. Players are going to cost more money because you're going to have to invest in the squad as well if we're going to get there. So I mean, you are looking at that sort of thing over a certain period of time. In total, it's probably going to come out to about a 10 to 12 billion investment, and that is the requirement, especially because of the damage that has been done to our football club. Again, we are not in a normal state as a football club. And that's why it's kind of hard to say, oh, look at the other football clubs, look at how they're operating, and look at but they don't have the Glazers. They don't have what has happened to our football club since they've come in. They don't, a club might be down, they might have a bad owner, but it's not to the extent of what has gone on in our football club. Our football club is solely fucked in its special way. So our situation is unique. It's, you can try and copy Liverpool, you can try and copy City, and there are some things to copy because they have sort of the blueprint for it in today's game. But at the same time, we then have to forge our own blueprint and instill our own sort of DNA into it, because we have specific unique problems that other clubs are not facing anywhere in all of football. Like Arsenal were quite shit, but Arsenal, it took them a long time to open the checkbook because they spent all that money on the stadium and they didn't have the money to spend. They've gotten past that point. They've opened the checkbook now. But it's not like their owners were the Glazers. It's not like the Cronkies were listed them on the stock exchange. It's not like they've paying them dividends. It's not like they've let, it's not like they've let the Emirates Stadium, rot. It's not like the training facilities have been untouched for 15 years. It's not like they were making signings prior for commercialism and not giving a shit about what's going on the pitch. They have a different thing. But what they did was they got in a guy, they opened the checkbook, they gave him 3 years, they stuck by him when he was finishing 8th twice, and they did proper recruitment. It's not that simple for us because we are in a bad position and we need a lot more things to happen, yeah? End of the decade, he meant to say. Dude, if we stop passing back, we may go forwards. I'm not convinced, but I'll give it until Christmas. Well, that is one of the things, but again, if you listen to Ruben and you listen to Ten Hag, this is a problem we've had in our club. The reason why we pass back so much, listen, sometimes you got to do it, yeah? Because it's what is on the pitch. And sometimes you got to pass the balls to the side or backwards. We shouldn't be doing it to the extent that we're doing it. And I'm with you, DJ, because I hate that shit. I can't stand it. I can't stand when I'm watching a match and it's 0-0 or we're down, or even when we're up 1-0 or something, and we are pressed up high, so we're basically on our midfield, on the midfield line, and we are taking our sweet ass time like we're winning 6-0, and we're passing the ball from the center back to the wing back to the center back to the other center back. That center back passes it to that wing back to the center back. You give it to Cass or Bruno. He gives it back to the center back. And then 5 minutes later, somebody kicks the fucking ball in the air like a Hollywood pass, and we lose the ball. Or we try to go forward and we lose it immediately. I can't stand that we take so long to actually go forward. We need to be going forward more. But Ruben doesn't want us to be taking that amount of time. That is the players on the pitch not being confident in themselves and taking the risk to go forward because they are afraid to lose the ball. Now, people will say, well, but Ruben is the manager. It's his job to sort it out. I agree. But again, I just talked about how our situation is very unique and different, and we've had a shit 12 years, 13 years. Why is that the same if it's happening for Ruben's team now? It was the same for Ten Hag, and it was the same before. Our football club, through like 3 different iterations of teams, have been afraid to go forward. They're afraid to go forward. They constantly pass backwards and sideways. They constantly try to play the safest option. They don't take risks. They don't read the game well. It can't just be specifically the manager. There is a cultural mentality ethos problem that has been hanging over this football club for like 10 years now. Because it doesn't seem to change no matter what manager we have, what system they play, and what players we kind of move in and out of this football club. They all seem to come to the point of they're low on confidence, they're afraid, they're nervous. They play scared football. And when you play scared football, you don't win games, yeah? That's why they say scared money don't make no money. The scared money, you ain't using the money. And if you don't use the money, you can't make more money. If you're scared to invest in the stock market, you're not going to put money in the stock market. And therefore, you can't make more money in the stock market. Right? And if we play scared football, we don't take the chances, we don't take the opportunities, we're not gonna win. We're not gonna play good football. We're not gonna get good results. So I agree. But there are some times, you know, if you're facing backwards, like if you're facing backwards, you play the ball back. If you need to do a little bit of a reset, but there's got to be sort of a switch. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We do take sometimes in the games. There are periods in the matches where we take too long to actually start the attack. Yeah. And I can't stand it. If I was there, I'd be giving them all the hairdryer and ripping them a new one, telling them my fucking dead dog moves faster than you guys at some points in the match. Not always. Sometimes we do good counterattacks, quick transition. It's actually quite nice. One touch, boom, 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 and we're up the pitch and we're in the opposition's box. But we don't do it the whole game, which is, I can't understand it. I think many of us don't understand it. I think Ruben doesn't understand it. When you listen to Ruben talk, he says the same things we say. So, people out there will give Ruben shit because they'll be like, he's clueless and he's the manager and it's his job to figure it out. But I think if we grabbed anybody like us that are saying the same thing and you put them there, I feel like we'd probably all be mystified because we'd just be like, what the fuck are we saying? Like, we worked on this all week on training. I can't understand how the players are doing this. I think that's what's happening. I mean, Ruben said it. I think he can't believe some of the shit he sees. We had that story when Ten Hag was here with Benny McCarthy. Benny McCarthy was saying there was things that we were doing in training, and then he's like, you go and watch the match, and we can't believe what we're watching. Like, we can't believe that this is happening on the pitch. Like, there's just no way. It's just unbelievable. In a bad way. Lyle says exactly the Mano thing is the only thing solely is only a thing solely because of the upcoming World Cup. If there was no World Cup, we wouldn't be talking about Mano. Well, yeah, because he wouldn't be looking for a loan because he wouldn't be too stressed about game time as much as he is now. Mano was asked if he would like to join the under-21s. He's only 20. He's not there. Let's let him go. The under-21s for England. Well, the thing about that is, though, I do get that from Kobbie Mainoo. I mean, you already played for England. You were starting for England. So why would you want to necessarily go backwards in that regard? I think for him, obviously, to get back in the England squad, he was already in there. And I think for him, I mean, he was already starting at United. So his goal is to get back in there. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's quite difficult at the moment, but again, I would like to see him just continue to fight for it because I think that's the best possible route to go. See, the thing that you don't want to do, and I don't think he's going to do it in this manner, but it's just how things work. I mean, Sancho was a little baby, yeah, and had a bad attitude, and if he just kept his mouth shut and didn't do what he did, he would have gotten his opportunity because Anthony got suspended or whatever, and we didn't have anybody on the right wing. And we would have had to play him. But because he came out and made the statement he did and went against Ten Hag and then got basically banned by Ten Hag, he fucked himself. Because, yeah, I get it. You feel aggrieved. You're not getting the opportunity. Maybe you're being scapegoated. Maybe he has a legitimate claim to that. Maybe there's, you know, some dynamic in the team that is unfair. I get that. That's fine. But you keep it in-house. You keep your fucking head down. You keep your mouth shut. Publicly. Maybe you go talk to the manager about it, but publicly, you keep your fucking mouth shut. And you wait for your opportunity, dude. And then when it comes, you take it. And then you shut everybody up. You shut the manager up. You shut the fans up. You shut the critics up. You shut everybody up. But doing what he did, he didn't keep his head down. He made a big deal. And then literally, in the span of a week, he missed his whole chance because he did what he did. He would have had to play. He would have had to get an opportunity. He fucked it up for himself by having to go be a loudmouth and go, you know, start being erratic in decisions and not keeping a level head and composure. Now, I don't think Mano is going to do that. And I don't think the situation is necessarily anything close to that. I think Mano would like to start. I think he's upset to start. I would want him to be upset not to start. I would expect him to be upset of not getting more minutes and him wanting more minutes. That's normal. I think the World Cup thing is pushing him to go for a loan because he really wants to play in the World Cup. And he probably sees it as, I'm not going to get enough minutes here with this season, with the situation United's in, to get the minutes to play in the World Cup. And again, you only get so many World Cups. And he was part of the Euros, and he enjoyed his time there. And I think he wants to get back in there. So, you know, he's not asking for a transfer out. He's not asking for a permanent move. I think he's not too far away from it. But then it gets a little bit diluted with the fans because the fans are going hyperbolic and crazy because they're like, he should be starting and it's a disgrace and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Which is fine if you think he should be starting. I would start him. But I can also understand from the other point of view with the manager and his decision. And it's his decision. And I think it's not the end of the world for Kobbie Mainoo if he's not starting right now. It's not. Like, I don't know. I feel like some people act like because if Kobbie doesn't get minutes right now, his whole career is over. And it's just not how it is. Kobbie Mainoo was so wonderful. Kobbie Mainoo played like Kobbie Mainoo plays fantastic. Yeah. I really like the kid. I think he will get there. I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about him at all. And listen, if he wants a loan, give him the fucking loan. If we're not going to use him, give him the loan. But right now, I think he still has an opportunity, and there's still some time from now until January. So I'll see how it plays out. We'll see where we are. Delo was good, but then he reached his peak. Rashford never recovered. That Luke Shaw got injured, and those two were immense. Yep. Our old players would have screamed, give me the damn ball, and took them all on. Oh, for the days. Yeah, it's just a different mentality in the squad. It was just a different culture. We need to get that culture back somehow, or make a new one that fits today's time. But yeah. Lucky says he gets pissed off at social media fan base. Got ahead that we are level winning title. Well, I mean, social media is social. You got to take it for what it is. Yeah. You can't get too caught up into it. You can call things out and stuff like that. You should, but you can't get too caught up into it because it is social media. You don't even know who's real and who's not. There's so many United accounts that they're United accounts. They don't have a face to it. They don't even have a real name to it. Everybody tries to do this sort of logo brand thing, and they're United account. I mean, you don't know who it is. It could be a 12-year-old kid. It could be a Liverpool fan. It could be an Arsenal troll or somebody, you know, whatever. It could be just somebody using United's name for money, to get a following and to try and make money out of it. So you got to kind of put it a little bit on the back burner. Lads, remember when all Roy Keane was bothered about cucumber sandwiches, etc.? How far we have fallen. Well, Roy Keane did say the other day that he would want Diego Simeone as manager if there was a vacancy ever, and he said he would never advocate for the sacking of a manager, but he just said that he always believed that Diego Simeone would be a very good manager and he likes his football. And then he tried to say that he's not as defensive as people say he is, which I don't necessarily buy, because he is actually quite defensive. And they play a lot of games where they don't have majority possession of the ball in a lot of the matches that they play. So I don't know, Roy, of how much Atletico Madrid you're actually watching, but forget Baleba, get Anderson from Forest. At this point, just get the guy that fits best. I don't even care who it is. I don't care about really the name. Just get the guy that fits the best, and that's going to work the best for us. That has the best profile, has the best attitude, has the best character, and has the best ability. But that's what we need. Get that. Get that. Let me just check the internet for any updates while we were live. Yeah. Oh, I didn't speak about Bruno, but real quick. So Bruno Fernandes came out the other day because he's on international duty with Portugal. By the way, Portugal won 1-0, I believe. I don't know if he scored or anything like that, but he was doing a press conference for Portugal. He was asked about the Saudi Arabia story and stuff like that. And Bruno Fernandes has firmly shut down ongoing rumors of a move to Saudi Arabia, speaking out during a press event in Portugal ahead of their World Cup qualifier against the Republic of Ireland. The 31-year-old, whose contract runs until 2027 with an option for an extra year, so 2028, reiterated his happiness at Old Trafford and dismissed claims that his decision to stay was influenced by the World Cup. This comes after a turbulent summer where Al Hilal reportedly offered a staggering £100 million transfer fee plus a £200 million player contract. United view Fernandes as untouchable, even though I apparently, that flies in the face of the fact that nobody is untouchable, and they were looking to sell everybody. But United view Fernandes as untouchable and an indispensable leader under Ruben Amorim, especially after his deeper midfield role has seen him contribute 5 goals and 7 assists in the early 2025-2026 season. And to be fair, this is why he keeps playing him there, yeah? Because he's got 5 goals, 7 assists, so he's having an impact still from the midfield role. It just doesn't look pretty, and it doesn't really operate well on the defensive end. But when you pull up a stat like that, that's arguments for Ruben to say, well, things are improving, things are working. So, contract extension discussions are progressing positively, with the club aiming to tie him down longer term to ward off further interest from Saudi Pro League clubs like Al Ittihad. No January exit is on the cards, and Fernandes emphasized his focus on the present, including Portugal duty and United's push for a top 5 Premier League finish. The full quotes, he was asked about rejecting the Saudi move and the World Cup factor, and Bruno said, "I didn't close the door on moving to Saudi Arabia because of the World Cup. That was never on my mind. I wanted to stay at Manchester United. The club wanted me to stay. That's all." Now, this is what I speculated at that time, yeah? I did say this because there was 3 parties. There was Al Hilal, there's Bruno, and there's the club. And I did say at that time, Bruno will not leave unless the club tell him to leave. If the club told him, we are willing to sell you, or we're looking to sell you, then Bruno probably would have left. So Bruno gave us the answer that we wanted, because he said, I wanted to stay, which he did. I believe him on that. But he said the club wanted me to stay, which means when they were offered 100 million, the club never told him, listen, we're going to take the cash, or we're looking to take the cash. They never gave him an indication that they would be willing to sell him. So that's why Bruno stayed here. Because our club basically was like, we don't even want 100 million. They basically turned down 100 million for a player. And I think it was the wrong move. I'm going to be quite honest. I like Bruno Fernandes. I really do. He's been our best signing, most impactful signing post Sir Alex Ferguson. And he is an important player. We play worse without him in the squad. We do. It's statistically proven. Every time he hasn't played, the amount of points, the record with him not in the team is way worse. The performances are way worse. But I will argue again, 100 million for any player when you need to rebuild the team and we're a bit short on funds and we're in a bit of a shitty financial place, I think is something that you can't turn down. But they did. DJ says, I love Bruno. He will always be a legend. Lucky says, not for me. Sell him in the summer. Amir says, Bruno, one of the best midfielders in the world right now. Lucky says he stops youth to develop. I don't think he does. I don't think he does. How does he stop youth to develop? I don't think that's a claim you can make. That doesn't make sense, really. It doesn't really make sense. Because if Bruno goes, we're still gonna have to buy 2 midfielders. Because we need them with the team that we have now, we still needed a midfielder, yeah? And if Bruno goes, then you need 2 midfielders. And Casemiro's going, we need 3 midfielders. Realistically, if you sell Bruno for what we currently have, if you sell Bruno, Casemiro's going next season, and we need a midfielder already, we need 3 midfielders. So we're going to have to go spend all our transfer budget on 3 midfielders. No, I mean, like, Kobe's there, Ugarte's there, Kobe should get, and the youth, I mean, if they're ready, they'll come in, they'll get minutes, but they're not. We don't have youth players ready for that. So he's not stopping anything. I don't believe that argument. Yes, he stopped the youth get good. No, he didn't. How did he stop the youth getting good? He did absolutely nothing to stop the youth from getting good. Bruno Fernandes does not pick himself. Bruno Fernandes does not give himself his own contract. Bruno Fernandes did not stop the youth from developing. Bruno Fernandes is not sabotaging youth players. It's not his fault. You can blame the club. You can blame the club for the way that they're operating things. But it's not his fault. It's not his fault he doesn't get dropped. It's not his fault that they consider him untouchable. It's not his fault that he has to play 90 minutes and can't get subbed off. That's not his fault. He doesn't make these decisions. That's not on him. It's not on him in any way. Bruno was our best player season after season. He's had a bad season. Saudi, how fickle football has become. Well, yeah, that's where we're at. So, he was asked on his future beyond 2026 and current happiness. He said, "I still don't know if I will play in the World Cup, much less if I will leave Manchester United in a year. I'm happy where I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't have stayed." And he also said, "I like to enjoy the moment, and the most important thing for me now is representing the national team because it's a source of enormous pride to be able to play tomorrow against Ireland." Because he said this yesterday. He then said, Saudi move, that's impossible scenario to imagine because it's nothing that's been discussed with me anymore. So, these statements were reported by Fabrizio Romano, Daily Mail, Manchester Evening News, etc., etc., etc. So, let me check the internet to see if we got any other updates, anything important. Courtois hanging out with Lemons quite a lot. Lemons, learn as much as you can from him, buddy, please. We need you to be Courtois 2.0. Zidane Iqbal has scored for Iraq. Let me see this. Can we show this? Are we gonna get I think you heard that. I don't even know. I don't know how to show this. I don't know how to show this. I want to show it, but I don't know how to show it. I want to show it, but I don't know how to show it. Um, how do I pull this up? Let me see. Let me see if I can pull it up for you guys. Browser media source. Hmm. Hmm. Let's try browser, yeah? Let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. We could be like the cool hipsters and bring this video up here. Oh, there you go. Look at that. I got it. But I need to make it bigger. Is it bigger? No, it's not bigger. I got this. I got this. Zidane Iqbal. Oh, he's not even our academy graduate player anymore? Oh, then what the fuck am I bringing this up? You know what? You know what? I thought he was still part of our thing. I don't give a shit about this then. What a waste of time. What's wrong with our aggregators, man? I really honestly I can't stand some of our aggregators, dude. I have a beef with the aggregators on X, man. I'm gonna be quite honest. Maybe I'm wrong for this. Maybe it's not the United way. Dude, when you get off tonight, have a damn good night. I'll see you soon. Be good, DJ. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you, man. You getting in here, getting involved. You make some very good points. So it was good talking to you. And good to hear from you as well. But we'll probably stream Monday or Tuesday. I'll look to stream, yeah. Maybe Tuesday, because Tuesday will be the better day. Monday will be hard. So I love things that make you go, yeah, so yeah, Tuesday. If you're around Tuesday, around the time that we went live today, we'll be live. So look out for that, DJ. Any news from United? It is the weekend and it is international break, so I mean, I always love this quote. You know that quote that Rooney gave, and he said, I remember Fergie's team talk before playing AC Milan. He literally said to Park, your job today is not about touching the ball. It's not about making passes. Your job is Pirlo. That's all. Pirlo. At the time, Andrea Pirlo was averaging 110 passes per game, something stupid like that. And out of those, about 60, 70 were forward passes that could hurt you. He had this trick. When the ball came to him from the fullback, he would play it first time over your center back's head and Andrei Shevchenko or Kaká to run through. Pirlo was the best I've ever seen at that pass. So Fergie said to Park, he cannot be allowed that pass. You cannot be 1 yard or 1 second late. And I think Pirlo barely had 40 passes in that game, and 95% were backwards because Park was so unbelievable at carrying out his orders. The rest of us appreciated that. Physically and mentally, what Park managed to do that night was so difficult. That's why I love that. I've heard him say that before somewhere, but he said it again. And I mean, I don't know about you. It gives me chills reading that, thinking about it. Just Fergie giving you like that whole speech and telling you, you're not making passes. I don't give a shit if you touch the ball once this game. He's like, your job is Pirlo. And then you know what happened after the game as well. You know that Park went out there. He stopped Pirlo from being Pirlo, yeah? I miss that sort of shit. I miss it. We don't have that, man. We don't have that. We don't have that. We haven't had it for a long time, yeah? But we don't have that. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what I was talking about when it comes to Liverpool. You too, DJ. You too. Enjoy the weekend, buddy. Be good. Be good. Stay safe. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, we don't have that when it comes to Liverpool. Like, we need shit like this, man. You might lose the match. You got to go out there and play, dude. You got to go carry a job, like go carry out a job. Everybody has to have a specific job on that page, a purpose, and they got to go execute it to the highest level. Um, I was just looking at something else. So, um, yeah, I don't see any other news. So, I think that's gonna be a wrap for today. Because again, I've been trying to make these shows shorter, but today was such a good conversation, and we're a little bit limited on how many shows we could do per week. So, um, I let it run for a little bit longer. But it did better. So, yeah, but I'm gonna be trying to cut down the times of the show because technically right now we're doing about like 2 to 3 shows in one, yeah, and we should be cutting them down. Not because I don't want to talk to you guys and I don't enjoy the discussions, but it's just a YouTube thing. It's just a YouTube algorithm views to ratio rating type of thing that we need to be trying because I think we're getting a little bit penalized on this channel. Yeah, I think the channel is getting a bit penalized. So, um, Park's energy was amazing. He was, and I always tell this story, and people always give me shit for it, but they don't. I don't know. I when we had that team when Park was there, I was about like 14 years old or so, maybe 13, something like that. Um, I was still, I was a teenager, but I was a kid, and my whole thing was I didn't really like Park too much. Yeah, in terms of like because I rated Scholes so high, and I was like, look at Scholes. I was like, look at the ball Scholes plays. Look at Giggs, running down the wing and doing things with the ball. Look at the strikers. And even Carrick. I liked Carrick, yeah? I didn't appreciate too much the dirty work that Park used to do for us because he wasn't a flair player. He wasn't, he was just a workhorse. He was a hard worker. He did his job, and he did all the dirty work, but there wasn't like flair about his game, yeah? So I didn't really rate him. And I kind of used to hate. I kind of used to hate when Sir Alex would pick him over, Carrick Fletcher or Scholesy or something like that. Until a couple years later, when I got a bit older, and then I appreciated much more because I understood it a little bit more, and I was like, no, but actually, the job that this guy does is so underrated, and he's such a hard worker, and he's such a good player to have in the team. Like that's the player that you want to have in your team. That's the player that we could use right now in the team. It's a player that we're missing. It's a player that we're missing, mentality wise, attitude wise. We could use a couple of them actually, but yeah, I mean, after a couple years, then I realized, and I was like, you know what, I was wrong for hating on him because actually he was really vital and instrumental to our team. We need players like that, and they're important, and they don't have to be these flair players that they look so good or whatever. You could enjoy that, but no, actually, he was a really important part of the team, and I'm glad we had him. And I respect the shit out of him always. Now in today's time, when I think back, I'm like, yeah, man. He was a really good player for us. He just wasn't a flair player, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't a good player. So the closest we had to that was Herrera pocketing Hazard. Cunha could end up becoming that type of player. It's possible. Yeah, I think Cunha has a little bit. Since Cunha is more of an attacking player, though, it's a bit different in terms of. But it could be maybe something similar. But I think Cunha has a little bit. I think you would argue Cunha has a little bit more flair to that. I think what we need is somebody like him. That's somebody that plays that midfield position. Yeah, you don't have to be flair, but what you need to do is basically do fucking everything in that midfield. You need to do everything in that midfield. Defend, attack, tackle. Because Park wasn't like the greatest goal scorer, but he could pass the ball and he could man mark and he could do a job when you asked him to do a job, like Fergie asked him to do a job. And he did it in that match against AC Milan and Pirlo. And that's what you need. That's what you need. So I think we need somebody like that in the midfield, specifically. You know, and do a job. Even, you know, used to throw him on the wing sometimes and he would still do a job out there. Man marking, tracking back, working hard, 90 minutes always. And that's the one thing. Like, you know, when I was a kid at that age, I didn't really appreciate that sort of thing. I appreciated the guys that were goats, that were banging in the goals and doing moves, and they were able to take players on, and they were just, you know, amazingly talented. But just Jason Park gave you 90 minutes always. In any position you put him in, at any game you put him in, he gave you 90 minutes. I can't really say that about a player that we have right now. You know, excluding the new ones, obviously, because they're new. Like, you know, they haven't been here. We haven't seen them long enough. They haven't been through enough things. You know, so I'm not talking like a Mbuemo, Cunha, Sesko, anybody like that. But I can't really say, you know, maybe even Bruno sometimes. Like, he usually in terms of running around gives you 90 minutes, but there has been times where, you know, not the same. True, Cunha has that ability to step back, fight for the ball, and take it forward, but yeah, more in the midfield. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he has the ability to do that for sure. But when I think of Park, I think put him in that midfield workhorse, man, and just doing a job. And you're right about Herrera pocketing Hazard. That was probably the closest thing we had to that, and we haven't seen something like that since, really. And we probably need to find somebody like that. So, listen, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys so much for the support, as always. I mean, you guys are the reason. I'm gonna be quite honest. You guys are the reason why I keep coming back, man. You guys show so much love and so much support. So it's literally impossible for me to quit on you guys. Yeah, even though sometimes, you know, I'm a human being. It's tough sometimes. You know, I have a bad day or something. I don't really feel like getting and doing a whole show, and it's not because, you know, not to talk to you guys. That's what actually makes me come and do the show, is to have the conversations with you guys. It's because I know you guys are always showing up and here, and I feel bad when I don't do shows. I feel like I'm letting you guys down. So yeah, just, you know, thank you guys for the support as always. And I always appreciate it because you guys choose to be here, and I always say this because it's true. I mean, you choose to be here. You don't have to be here, and I know that, and I'll never forget that. So thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Saturday and enjoy your Sunday. Thank you for smashing the like button. Shout out to anybody that's new, that's subscribed. We're trying to get to 3,500. We're at 3,130. We'll see each other unless something major breaks, but tomorrow I probably won't even go live because it's Sunday, NFL, and it's a whole event all day. So but unless there's like some big updates about the, you know, potential takeover or new investor, we'll probably see each other Tuesday. Look for Tuesday. If anything, I'll update you in the Discord and let you know if I change my mind. And I'll also try to put a community post on YouTube for the subscribers that aren't in the Discord, but you should get in the Discord because the Discord is the better place to be anyway. I mean, the conversations we have in there when we're not live, is great, and also it's just easier and faster for me to keep you updated. I can send you direct messages. I can't do that on YouTube. So but yeah, other than that, be good, take care, guys. By the way, before I get out of here, I have been working on the real background behind me. Yeah, so I'm not gonna show you yet, but I got a couple things up there. It's looking all right. I got to add a couple more things, but soon, real soon, maybe by the end of next week when we come back from international break, when we go for the Liverpool match, we might have a real background. There's a couple technical difficulties that I got to try and sort out because the camera I have doesn't really get the angle that I necessarily want, so I got to play around with that and see if I could get it, you know, and play around with it. But I'm excited because I put up a couple things. I put up a couple things already, and I quite like it, and it looks kind of cool. So, yeah, I'm gonna be excited for that, and I think we're gonna be adding more stuff as time goes on to the background as well. Although I'm kind of, you know what? I'm kind of, I guess we'll poll it when it goes live, yeah. But I don't know if I should blur the background slightly so you kind of see the things but kind of don't see it, but it's like there, or don't blur it and just have it like fully, you know, viewable. Um, so I don't know, a couple things I gotta figure out, but I think it's gonna look great, and I think you guys are gonna like it. There's a couple things that I got from here that are personal, and they're kind of custom things, and throwbacks. Some 2003, 2004 season and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be good. So, hopefully we'll get that ready for you, and then we have a couple other things in the works. I am gonna try and get a call in set up. Let me get this background thing done first, and then we'll get in the call in. I ran into some problems before I went on vacation when I was going to do the call in thing. I had it set up, but I couldn't get the audio from the call to transfer. I couldn't test it properly, so I got help now that I can test it with. So if I could get that going, we'll have a call in show. We'll have a new background. Lyle's working on something as well, for the channel, and when that comes, that comes. But he's got something working on the channel as well. So we got some new things coming in as well. So we're always trying to improve, always trying to get better, always trying to bring in new things. And also, I would just say, for any of the members, or for anybody that cares, you could always make suggestions on things as well. If you want to see some type of content or see something that we're not doing, or that you think is a good idea, you could always let me know, whether that's in the Discord or leave a comment under the channel, under the show, you know, and just throw it out there. I take all things into consideration. Yeah, and I respect you guys' opinions and thoughts as well. So if there's something you guys think that maybe we should do and we're not doing, or you think you would like to see, you could always throw those out there as well. I welcome those, because sometimes somebody has a good idea that I would never think about. So I encourage you to do that stuff. But yeah, thank you guys again. Shout out to you. Appreciate every single one of you. Shout out to the legend right here, Sir Bobby Charlton. Happy birthday to him. And rest in peace to the legend himself. Everybody have a good day, man, and we'll see each other very, very soon. Thank you.